multi-talented, multitasking, multi-everything people out there. Take it away.
Find your glory, write your story, fearless feet will carry you. Time you own it, take your moment, be a fire burning through. Hustling from night until morning, grinding it out, it won't be long. Feel your power, it's your hour, you inspire, you are strong.
Enjoy your Zoa. No applause? You're all fired.
Hey, good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Money. Are you ready? They are ready. Covering the biggest events in the country right now.
There's a lot going on here this morning.
It's always a good time. That's what the show's about.
That's good.
Really good.
Very good.
Coming in hot, Jimmy, coming in hot.
It's far from elementary.
Oh,
Good morning, America. I'm not going to try to strut like Michael or anything.
I have known George a long, long time.
Have you ever gotten him to dance?
look at that face.
You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'll be there.
I am here and so happy.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'm in.
That tells you something when Snoop Dogg's in. Michael, George, where?
Ginger.
Prepare for a journey beyond imagination, beyond belief, beyond anything you've experienced before. Universal Epic Universe, a new theme park where you'll step through extraordinary portals to 5 immersive worlds. Prepare for a cosmic voyage of discovery, an isle of fire-breathing excitement, a shadowy world of monsters and mystery, new wonders in the wizarding world, and a new way to play. Plus the splendor of a magnificent resort hotel overlooking the park. It's all new excitement at Universal Orlando Resort. A week's worth of vacation thrills with 4 amazing theme parks, a variety of spectacular themed hotels, and incredible dining and entertainment. It's all at Universal Orlando Resort, where you'll find new adventures every day. Explore the astonishing worlds of Universal Epic Universe at Universal Orlando Resort.
Well, hello to you, and you. Welcome in to another edition of Braylon Lee's virtual tour live. Glad to have all you here in the building with me. Y'all, we are about to have a very good time here because we got some things to talk about. As you guys know, Love is Blind is Netflix's biggest unscripted hit, and it has had many lawsuits. And another one came through the timeline of Culture Today, so we won't get into it. With that being said, everybody, higher is waiting, low is available. Either way, we are live on tour as well. Yes, indeed. Let me take down that iconic intro there. You see that virtual tour background? Yes, you do. You hear that virtual tour music? Yes, you do. And then there is... hey, everybody, welcome in. Glad to have all of you here in the building with me. By the way, shout out to Dr. Ariel from King's Court on Bravo, because this is where she is going to be tonight. If you guys are looking for her, she will be right here. On the Accidentally Informed podcast, Portia Coleman is filling in for Erica Cobb. I had no idea, but I just dropped in the chat just to give some support there. So absolutely, because Ariel is great over here. So for sure. All right, let's get to this because, child, when I tell you, we got a lot to talk about. So this article came out today from Deadline.com. Netflix and Love is Blind producers accused of subjecting contestants to sleep deprivation, isolation, lack of food, and excess of alcohol in Stephen Richardson-led lawsuit. Some days it seems like Netflix Love is Blind is as big a hit with lawyers as it is with streaming audiences, yet in another legal action related to alleged backstage shenanigans and manipulations on the show, season 7 contestant Stephen Richardson is suing the streamer and almost everyone involved with several seasons of the American series for a plethora of labor violations and excess. Yeah. In addition to that, in fact, Richardson, who was exposed as a less than faithful short-term fiance to short-term fiance Monica Davis after the 2024 season was over, is just going after the Ted Toronto's co-run streamer and others for himself. He's proposing a sweeping class action lawsuit, including those who are on, including but not limited to seasons 6, 7, 8, and 9 of the series. We're going to read that potential Love is Blind class action lawsuit here tonight. Picking up on National Labor Relations Board dings against Love is Blind from last year, the filing claims defendants willfully misclassified and upon information and belief continue to misclassify plaintiff, class members, and aggrieved or aggravated, but I think that's aggrieved employees, including those holding positions as contestant to participant cast member and similar job titles herein referred to as the cast as independent contractors. It goes on to explain that this was a substantial exercise of control over the manner, means, and timing of their work performed for defendants' non-scripted content productions, but not limited to the Netflix reality TV show Love is Blind. Similar to past suits by fellow Love is Blind cast members Renee Pochi and Jeremy Hartwell, Richardson in his nine-claim complaint, say that 3 times, or 9 times rather, says Netflix and producers bound them up in NDAs and then played fast and loose with their reality for the benefit of reality TV. Specifically, as we've heard before in many an unscripted suit, low-paid contestants were wrapped up in a combination of sleep deprivation, isolation, lack of food, and excess of alcohol, all either required, enabled, or encouraged by defendants, contribute to inhumane working conditions and altered mental state for the cast. Yeah, so as you all know, Kinetic Entertainment produces the show, Netflix airs the show, right? So it gets very dicey because when you're talking about reality television, right? When you're talking about reality TV, they tape, right? About 12 hours on a good day, 14 hours on a bad day, right? So you have to put that into, its certain place, right? Now, when you go on The Bachelor, right? When you go on Big Brother on CBS, The Amazing Race, or Survivor, or any one of these shows, they do take away your phones. They do. You can't even have, journals because they don't want you to have any access to the outside world so you can be fully enveloped in the fantasy. But also, too, there's usually assistance, right, in everything with a reality show. So there are people that will escort you to the restroom, this, that, and the third. So, but this is not the first time that Love is Blind has gotten a lawsuit here. Defendants exercise substantial control over every aspect of the cast lives during production, including the cast time, access to food and drinks, sleeping arrangements, contact with family and friends, other persons outside production. Defendants did not allow the cast to move or act on their own free will while the production took place. Tainted as a heel in more ways than one, Richardson is looking for a class certification from a judge and then a variety of damages over what he wasn't paid and the way he says he was treated. No actual price tag is given in the jury trial, desiring September 15th file complaint, except to say the amount demanded exceeded $35,000, likely exceeds that by a lot. Clearly, we haven't heard this kind of stuff about Love is Blind, other high hormone and low stakes reality TV shows, just as NBC Universal / Comcast in-house legal department Bravo, of course. Clearly, we've seen a number of these actions, whether on the arbitration line or quickly itself. Just shows we all have our eyes wide open. Netflix did not respond to Deadline's request for comment on Richardson's pay and production action. So, with that being said, let's get to this lawsuit. Of course, everybody knows what Love is Blind is all about, so I'm not going to go over that in case you do not know. Love is Blind is basically about 20 people, 10 men, 10 women, trying to find love. They're in these things called pods, and through those pods, they get to know each other, and then they decide if they want to, see that person or not. And then after that, they go to a tropical getaway, this, that, and the third, and then they make a decision whether they want to stay together, get married or not, and the show pays for the wedding, and then there's spinoff shows, and this, that, and the third. So that's basically Love is Blind, okay? So, with that being said here, defendants willfully misclassify employees as independent contractors, despite defendants exercising substantial and excessive control of the manner, means, and timing of work performed by class members and aggrieved employees. These individuals were in reality employees that were entitled to protections under California law, including but not limited to the California Labor Code and the applicable wage order. Defendants maintained a practice of willfully misclassifying employees to deny these individuals such protections that avoid paying class members and aggrieved employees proper minimum wage and overtime pay. Defendants maintain excessive control over virtually every aspect of the lives of their show's cast, including exerting complete domination over their time, schedule, and their ability to eat, drink, and sleep, and communicate with the outside world during the period of employment, and restricted their ability to engage in a multitude of activities that defendants forbid during both the period of employment and thereafter. In doing so, defendants created and maintained unsafe and inhumane working conditions for the cast of shows. Defendants' willful misclassification of aggrieved employees has resulted in the National Labor Relations Board filing a complaint against defendants in December 2024 over this precise issue. So, just wanted to say that here, notably, the purported contract unlawfully mandate that the class members and aggrieved employees pay so-called liquidated damages of $97,529.77, which was in effect an excessively large and retaliatory penalty if they breach their purported contracts with defendants as a scare tactic to further exert control and maintain the cast members' compliance during production. Additionally, the purported contract required class members and aggrieved employees to waive their rights to pursue virtually any cognizable claim against defendants. Defendants failed and continue to fail to compensate class members and aggrieved employees for all hours worked, including minimum wage overtime hours, as a result of maintaining a practice requiring class members and aggrieved employees to work up to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. So 20-hour days, 7 days a week, without paying them minimum or overtime wages. So that's just the beginning of it, right? Of course, plaintiff Stephen Richardson was employed with defendants from approximately October 1st, 2023 through approximately November 17th, 2023 as a contestant for the Netflix reality TV dating show, Love is Blind, which defendants cast and produced for online streaming on... Roll it. Just love our show. Yes, indeed. There. Yes, indeed. So, with that being said, to keep it going, during this period, Mr. Richardson was misclassified as an independent contractor who was subjected to the violations herein. So, Delirium TV LLC is a Delaware limited liability company maintaining its principal place of business in Los Angeles, California, which is located within the county of Los Angeles, California. It's in the business of casting participants for productions which are distributed by companies including Netflix US LLC. Defendant Kinetic Entertainment is a Delaware limited liability company maintaining its principal place of business in Los Angeles, California, which is located within the county of Los Angeles, California. It's in the business of creating and producing content, including a variety of non-scripted productions, docuseries, competition shows for the global market. Connect content is a part of Netflix US LLC, and many of its productions are distributed through Netflix's streaming site. Defendant Netflix USLLC is a limited liability company, maintains principal place of business in Los Angeles, California, which is located within the county of Los Angeles, California, and operates a subscription streaming service and production company. Netflix partners with production-related companies such as kinetic content, Delirium TV, to produce various forms of content to be distributed through Netflix's streaming service. So, and finally, here defendant Netflix Incorporated as a Delaware corporation maintains principal place of business in Los Gatos, California, which is located within the county of Santa Clarita, doing business in Los Angeles, California, and operates a subscription streaming service and production company. Netflix partners with production-related companies such as Kinetic Entertainment, Delirium TV, to produce various forms of content to be distributed through Netflix's streaming service. So that is basically the lay of the land here. So there's 37 pages here. We're going to try to get through all of these as much as we can, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so grab some wings, grab some pizza, grab some popcorn, grab some, tequila, grab whatever you can. I got me, today I got me an original Ghost Energy because I've had Ghost Energy before, but in the same token, I have not had the original. So I'm about to actually try this for the first time. Oh, wow. It's giving bubblegum, but it's giving tropical energy too. Ghost, I like this original. Now that I have some energy, let's get to it. Defendant's willful misclassification of its cast members, independent contractors. Defendants willfully misclassified and upon information and belief continue to misclassify plaintiff, the class members, and aggrieved employees, including those holding positions as contestant, participant, cast member, and similar job titles herein referred to as the cast, as independent contractors through substantial exercise of control over the manner, means, and timing of their work performed for defendants' non-scripted content productions, including but not limited to the Netflix reality TV show Love is Blind. Defendants exercise substantial control over every aspect of the cast's lives during production, including the cast time, access to food and drink, sleeping arrangements, and contact with family and friends and other persons outside production. Defendants did not allow the cast to move or act on their free will while production took place. Once the cast agreed to participate in defendants' production, defendants exercised and continued to exercise an egregious amount of control over the cast from the moment of their arrival into the production city until the cast left the production altogether. The cast arrived to the city where production would take place via airplane. Wait a minute, huh? Wait a minute. On Brit's block, hey, gorgeous. This sister right here is going to be somebody, damn it. I cannot wait until I'm hosting the Grammy Awards and I say, and the Grammy goes to, for best social media song, On Brit's Block. If y'all are not subscribed to that beautiful sister, like, comment, share, and subscribe. We will take a moment out and show some love to people that support us. Don't mind to do it because we are always about our side. So here she is right here on Brit's Block. Y'all like, comment, share, and subscribe to On Brit's Block. You will have a good time, child. Her skits, child, she messy, but she a good messy, though. You know what I mean? And just her spirit, how she moves, and how about her business is really something special. She's going to be something special. She already is special, but just wanted to give some time there. Oh, it's no problem. It's no problem at all. Love you right back. You know that. It is all good, y'all. It is all good. And like I said, y'all, if y'all want to talk about this Love is Blind thing, all I ask is you just say that you found from Braylon Lee Kersey at deadline.com. And by the way, for those of you who want to be able to, find, lawsuits and stuff in terms of what's happening in Hollywood, Deadline is a great source for lawsuits. Just want y'all to know that. All right, back to this. Love you on Brit's Block. Glad to have you here. So the reason why I'm a little upset about this, that the cast arrived on an airplane, is because, let me pull up Love is Blind. because if that's the case, somebody here needs to be coming to the front. So let me see where Love is Blind Wikipedia. So here it is here. So filming locations. So right here. Okay, so first season took place in Atlanta, Georgia, then Santa Clarita, California, right? So each season has a different location, right? So Love is Blind here. So each one of them. So let me type in Love is Blind locations. There we go. Here it is here. This is what I'm looking for right here. Okay, so watch this. Right here, watch this. So season 1 is in Atlanta, Georgia. Season 2 is in Chicago, Illinois. Season 3 is in Dallas, Texas. Season 4 is in Seattle, Washington. Season 5 is in Houston, Texas. Season 6 is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Season 7 is in Washington, D.C. Season 8 is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And season 9 is in Denver, Colorado. So if you are saying that Love is Blind is supposed to be getting people from the city itself, like Ray to Love does on the Oprah Winfrey Network, which is produced by Will Packer Productions and Lightheart Entertainment. They're casting for Chicago now, where you have to live either in the city or be an hour away from being able to drive into the city. Why are y'all flying people in? I'm just asking a question. Why in the flying hell are you flying people in, right? If they are supposed to be from the actual city itself. Just a question. Just a question right here. The cast arrived to the city where the production would take place via airplane. So, do y'all not give that up? Right? I mean, you do a nationwide casting call, but then you flying people in, but yet it's supposed to be location based. I'm a little confused. Just a little bit confused. Because, I mean, honestly.
Time is slipping away from me. Yeah.
Time is slipping away from me because I don't get that. I just don't get it. Upon the cast's arrival, defendants isolated the cast and took away their ability to contact family, friends, other persons outside production. This continued for the entire length of the cast participation in the production. Defendants were also forced to give the cast, to give up all forms of identification, wallets, phones, cash, credit, and debit cards to defendants, thus eliminating the cast's ability to leave the hotel, living quarters, or production set. In fact, defendants did not allow the cast to leave the premises of the hotel or studio at all unless explicitly directed to do so by defendants. To force the cast cooperation with this instruction, defendants did not allow any of the cast members to hold a key to their own hotel rooms to prevent them from leaving their hotel rooms. Now, I'm guessing here, right? Hey, Just Jonda, good to see you, my friend. By the way, Just Jonda is a lawyer, everybody. Good to see you. Steven was one of the least favorite people on that season, even before that cheetah scandal. Oh, damn. Well, tell me how you really feel. Tell me how you really feel. Oh, my Lord Jesus. Oh, it's going to be a hot one tonight, everybody, for sure. The Love is Blind production doesn't always happen in the same city where the people live. They may be from the same area where the filming takes place somewhere else. Okay. Thank you for giving that, because, like I said, I'm going about reading this lawsuit as an outsider looking in. So when you say Love is Blind Seattle, as an outsider looking in, right? I'm thinking, okay, production is happening in Seattle, and these singles are from the Seattle area. Sincerely, I think that's what most people think. But to be able to say that, okay, we're going to film from Seattle and we're going to fly these people in Seattle, I think that would be nice to be transparent about that, because you can literally say false advertising on that. You could. You literally could say that if you wanted to. So they normally go to each house after the honeymoon. So how do you live in another state? Thank you. That part on Brit's block, see, you see where I'm taking the inch and making the mile. That's what I'm saying. So if after this honeymoon, right, which we know the honeymoon, you know, takes place somewhere else, that's transparent. But if you're going to visit these family members, whether on location at that resort, or if you're going to visit them in that city, how, Sway, can you fly people in from out of the state? What the hell? I was literally watching Love is Blind Friends when I saw that you were on the air, and that is a train wreck. Not a train wreck. Not a train wreck. Not a train wreck. Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus. Now, and I will say this, right? If I got to use the restroom, I'm going to use the damn restroom. Okay? I'm going to go and make it do what it do. Okay? So if I want to go downstairs and get me something to eat, I should be able to. Right? And I get why they don't really want them to, you know, be at the hotel room, because they don't want anybody to see anybody, because, you know, Love is Blind is about seeing people blind, right? So that's why, as it's kept more than one season is filmed at a time, they are filmed well over a year in advance. For instance, Denver, which premieres in a few weeks, was filmed well over a year ago. Absolutely. So, for example, Survivor, right? Survivor is about to air its 49th season, and then it will air its 50th season, which 50 seasons of television, CBS, Big Brother, Jeff Probst, Mark Brunette, Lati Dati, everybody in the words of T-Talk with your girl. This is what I have to say. To you, 50 seasons of television is not easy. Now, I've already done 10 seasons of Braylon's Virtual Tour Live from 185 episodes a year point of view, and from a 200 episode a year standpoint, I've already done 5 seasons. So, which equates to 1,132 live episodes. Okay. So in the words of Snoop Dogg, I would like to thank you. And I only say that because sometimes people think that, you know, getting the thumbnail together, find the information, making your description box happen, the hashtags, and then you press live. That's it. No. Anybody can set up a live. It takes somebody to execute a live. Anybody can set up a live, but it takes somebody to execute a live. Anybody can set up a live, but it takes somebody to execute a live. We literally talked about last night how 30% of YouTube users are watching live content, or were watching live content in the second quarter. And I talked about YouTube Studios and how that should be a thing, even though Neil McCone said we don't know how to pick originals, and Pedro Pena, who is the president for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, the Africa side of YouTube, said there's no appetite for originals. But yet long-form content is trending because of watch time and because advertisers want to expand their territory, right? So a brother on Love is Blind France just proved why they take keys. He just got kicked out the pods at the end of episode 2 because he was getting it in with a random at the hotel where they're housed. Mofos be trifling. Not mofos be trifling. Oh my Lord. I mean, yeah, I guess they have reasons when you put it that way. Let's keep it going. Oh Lord. Defendants forbidden the cast members from driving themselves to and from the production location. The cast's only way to leave the hotel production set was via the shuttles provided by defendants, who exerted full control over the times and manner that the cast was transported to and from the hotel. Defendants would strongly suggest that there would be negative repercussions if the cast refused to remain working on the production until the late hours of the night. Like I said, 12 hours is a good day for reality TV. 14 hours is a bad day for reality TV. Okay, so just wanted to just keep that a book. Okay, so let's keep going here. Until the late hours of the night, then require them to return the next day in the early morning. So if you are a cast member on a show, there's a thing called a call sheet, right? Let me pull up what a call sheet looks like just to give y'all context, conjecture, and connection. If you've ever been on a production, I don't care if it's film, I don't care if it's a sitcom, I don't care if it's a drama, I don't care if it's a film, I double spoke on film, I don't care if it's unscripted. This is what a call sheet will look like here. Pull this up. This is what a call sheet will look like. So you will have general crew call there, courtesy, breakfast, shooting call, lunch, script color, schedule color. You'll have the scene, pages, set, and who needs to be there, notes, character, background, props, hair, costume set, dress, special effects, weapons, camera, sound, grip, electric stunts, locations, and transportation. And then, of course, at the bottom here, it'll give you the contacts of who you need to call on, right? Crew, parking, base camp, okay? Here's the, where the production company is, all that stuff. They give you the weather so that way you can know what's going on. And you see right here from 4:54 a.m. to 8:10 p.m. That is that's the shooting call, right? Well, that's not the shooting call, my bad. Shooting call is 9 a.m. So let's just say from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's how long you will shoot for reality TV. So reality TV shows have always put people in isolation. For those of us old heads, remember when production crew for the Real World Big Brother had to break it to the cast about 9/11. Facts. Absolute facts. The Mr. Beast show conditions still sound way more horrible, but all these companies have questionable practices. That is true. That is true. We did talk about that here on Braylon's Virtual Tour Live, that there was a lawsuit for the Beast Games, which just got renewed for season 2. Okay, so yes, indeed, there. But you are right. They have always done that for sure. Let's keep going here. Do defendants only allow the cast to rest at their hotel and living quarters for a few hours in between late nights on sets and early morning call times? At times, defendants left members of the cast alone for hours at a time with no access to phone, food, or any other type of contact with the outside world until they were required to work on the production. So in the world of film, right, there's a thing called hurry up and wait. So hurry up, set, wait. Okay, we got some more scenes to do because some people will get made up. And when depending on the character for a film, it'll take hours for makeup and prosthetics. So for example, Cynthia Erivo, who plays Elphaba, right? She's got her whole body is painted green. I mean, even her forest, okay, is painted green. Okay, so like everything is painted, right? So the dunk is green too. So that takes hours, right? Then of course, if Elphaba has, certain ears or characteristics of her face, that's gotta be on, right? So it takes hours to get done up for film. So when you hear, hurry up and wait and all that stuff. Let me see here. Hang on 1 second, y'all. Sorry, y'all. There we go. Hang on 1 second, yeah. There we go. Yes, indeed. There. Let's keep going here. Yes, indeed. Sorry, y'all. Dr. Errol just came on the Accidentally Informed podcast, so just wanted to drop some love to her. Yes, indeed. There. All right, let's keep going here. At times, defendants were, oh yes, absolutely, got all that. Defendants further controlled the cast by restricting food and drink at all hours of the day. Defendants regularly refused timely food and water to the cast while on set, severely restricting the availability of hydration opportunities. Even at the hotel living quarters, food was restricted to the point of severe hunger. Defendants, having the knowledge of the fact that cast member at times would be starving, instructed hotel staff not to provide any food to cast member that asked them for food because of hunger, and a clear effort to ensure the cast would continue to be deprived of food outside of the presence of the production team. The only drinks that defendants regularly provided to the cast were alcohol beverages, soft drinks, energy drinks, and mixers. Hydrating drinks such as water were strictly limited to the cast during the day. Now, I will say this, right? When you are a part of a show like that, right? You should get food. You should get water. At this point, right? Like, for example, I'm drinking Ghost, right? I'm drinking Ghost here. This could be branded, sponsored content within the show. They have like a Ghost cooler for the cast. Very easy. A Wakia cooler for the cast where everybody can get Wakia water. Absolutely. But to not have food, right? To not have food is beyond sickening, right? Because if those cast members do get sick, then that is on you because you're responsible for that cast. And also, too, not everybody can handle their alcohol, right? And some people have medical conditions, and if you don't respect those medical conditions, then you are also liable for that too. Now, on the cast sheet, you tell your allergies, you tell your medical, issues, if you take medicine, this, that, and the third. And the production team and the staff and the crew, the company, the production company, and the platform, which in this case it is responsible for making sure that the cast is doing okay. You know what I mean? So, yes, indeed. The original Ghost is actually really, really good. So, with that being said, here, defendants were encouraged to consume alcohol throughout the entire day, were applied an unlimited amount of alcohol without meaningful or regular access to appropriate food and water to moderate their inevitable drunkenness. The combination of sleep deprivation, isolation, lack of food, and excess of alcohol, all either required, enabled, or encouraged by defendants to work in, contributed rather to inhumane work conditions and altered mental state for the cast. Upon information and belief, defendants did this purposely, withheld necessities such as food, sleep, and water from the cast, and cut off their access to the outside world in order to maintain a heightened degree of control and direct the conduct of the cast into making manipulated decisions for the benefit of the show's entertainment value. I want to show y'all something real quick here. Give me a moment. There we go. Let me do this. Because there is a show that I watch called Big Brother Australia. Let's see here. And I just want to bring this up here. Right here. So let's do this.
Start a podcast, but not sure how. Riverside has got you covered. First,
Truly a dunce.
That is KFC, ladies and gentlemen. And KFC has been a huge partner in Big Brother Australia. Okay, so.
Oh my.
Housemates.
You are a legend!
How does this make you feel?
Oh my god!
I've got a KFC bucket tattooed on my foot. I love KFC so much.
What is it that you love about KFC?
The 11 herbs and spices that nobody knows about.
It's so killing me.
The delicious way in which they cook it. The coleslaw, it's got the perfect amount of mayo, yet crisped up cabbage.
The buns with the perfect seeds on. The barn cakes.
The bucket that you put on your head. Everything about it. It's the most perfect meal ever.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna go out and just put it behind
No,
my back.
wait. Come
I'm gonna
here.
show it to Josh because Josh loves it more than anything. Hold on.
Wait.
Just wait there.
Like, move everything. We've got more.
Yes, indeed.
Are you serious? Let's go.
Oh my god.
I'm eating it anyway.
So that's how you can do a brand integration into a reality show. So let's just say, right? Let's just say that Buffalo Wild Wings wanted to give away free food to the Love is Blind cast, right? For dinner. They could do the same thing that Big Brother Australia did for KFC, right? So just wanted to say that there, right? Yes, indeed. So let me get back to this live, make sure we are still live. Okay. Yep, we're still good. Okay. So back to this lawsuit here. In order to maintain a high degree of control and direct the cast into making manipulated decisions for the benefit of the show's entertainment value. As a result, the defendants encouraging the cast to perform work in a hazardous work environment while in an altered mental state. Defendants failed to provide a safe, helpful place of employment. Say that 3 times. The cast worked on production set, which contained various hazards, including large and delicate equipment, trip hazards, electrical hazards, and heavy unsecured equipment. So whenever you are on a set, there is a boom mic. There are cables. Let's just pretend that this is a cable on the ground, right? Okay, there you go. You see this cable? Pretend that this is a wire cable on the ground connected to a camera, connected to monitors, right? So there is there's the crew that's on the set, and then there's a huge control room. Usually, sometimes the control room is on a backlot set like Big Brother is, right? Or there are production trucks with a control room in it, right? So imagine all these cables, right? And then you got, steady cams as well. You also have people with cameras on their chests and they're moving this out there. It's heavy equipment, right? So imagine all of that expensive equipment, right? It's a little bit crazy on these sets. So further, the cast was more prone to injury due to their excessive intake of alcohol, minimal intake of food, and sleep deprivation. The cast were forced to perform in various stages of fatigue, hunger, and drunkenness, on top of working excess hours, leading to an unsafe and unhealthy environment. Number 2, defendants required the cast to enter into a contract layered with illegal terms that the California law expressly prohibits in order to participate in shows. Now, there is a thing as a non-disclosure agreement, where if you break anything from that NDA, you could get sued. Like I think Colton Underwood got sued for breaking his NDA, right? Usually your NDA breaks 1 year after the show has aired, right? Now for, I think, Survivor, they got fined like $50,000. And they know they can fine you $50,000 because your ass is broke. Right? So that's more of a social bounty to keep you quiet. Okay, so I'm just giving you context, conjecture, and connection behind the scenes for you to understand what's going on. Okay, so that's just to let you guys know what's up, right? So with that being said, let's see here. Back to this. Defendants further attempted to control the cast by requiring the cast to enter a contract which contains several illegal terms and unlawful provisions that California expressly prohibits in order to participate in defendants' productions. Defendants forced the cast and applicants to the show to agree to not apply or audition to appear on any other media production while still being considered not yet hired for defendants' production. So basically, if you are applying for Love is Blind and you're in consideration, you cannot apply for Big Brother. You can't apply for The Amazing Race. You can't apply for Survivor. You can't apply for The Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise. Although Bachelor in Paradise, you gotta be you gotta be on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette in order to be on that show. But still, you can't be on any other show as you're being considered for Love is Blind. That's basically what that means. Defendants also require access to and control of the cast social media accounts even after production had finished filming and participants had gone back home. Defendants coerced the cast to agree to their private lives being filmed at all hours of the day, including their homes and during private conversations. No aspect of the cast's lives were not controlled substantially by defendants throughout the entire production. Defendants required the cast and all into the production would be within the defendant's sole control, further exerting a substantial amount of control over the cast. Defendants required as a condition of employment, the cast refrain from disclosing the amount of wages provided during the production. So for Big Brother, for example, they usually get paid $1,000 a week. The longer you're in house, the more that you have in order to pay your bills and everything on the outside of the production, right? So that's basically what they're saying there. Defendants unlawfully compelled the cast not to speak with each other regarding the amount of wages they were provided, notably wages that were far below the minimum wage in production. Defendants unlawfully sought information concerning past felony convictions as a condition of employment. Defendants required the cast and applicants for employment to affirm whether they had any past convictions before being hired for production, including convictions protected from inquiry by employers. Defendants require the cast of the applicants for employment to unlawfully submit to a medical examination, psychological examination, and background check as a condition for possible employment. Now, I don't think that they should have had to do I don't think that they should have had to do that. How can I put this? They should not have had to unlawfully submit to that, because usually when you go on these reality shows, a medical examination, a psychological examination, a background check is usually protocol, because they want to know what your mental health is when you go on this show. They want to know what your physical health is. And they also, too, want to know what areas could pop up, right? You know what I mean? So that way, in case anything happens, then they can prepare for it, right? So sorry, I was eating some chips earlier, child. Anyway, we're good. Let's see here. Let me plug in the laptop. Other unlawful provisions required for the agreement include authorizing defendants to conduct background checks, including checks of consumer reports, unlawful restriction of the opportunity to work in the United States by refusing to hard documents or work authorization, requiring the cast to assume any and all risks related to their conduct on set, an unlawful penalty clause with a reasonably large estimate of so-called liquidated damages of $97,529.77, which was an effective penalty of 25 to 50 times of what most cast members earned during production, over approximately 6 times the amount the cast had the potential to earn during production for the cast breach of contract. So if you broke the NDA, you would have to pay that, right, for every time that you broke it. Number 3, defendants' failure to properly pay class members and aggrieved employees and provide compliant meal and rest breaks. During the class period, defendants failed and continue to fail to pay plaintiff, class members, and aggrieved employees for all hours required for class members and aggrieved employees for work during defendants' various productions of non-scripted content, including but not limited to the Netflix reality TV show Love is Blind, which defendants cast and produced for online streaming on I love our damn show. Defendants failed to continue to fail to compensate plaintiff, class members, and aggrieved employees for all hours worked, including minimum wage and overtime hours, as a result of maintaining a practice of willfully misclassifying class members' employment status as independent contractors, even though defendants exercise substantial control over the manner, means, and timing of the work performed by class members and aggrieved employees. Defendants willfully misclassify plaintiff, aggrieved employees, and class members in order to pay them less than minimum wage for the true number of hours worked, and refuse to compensate plaintiff, class members, and aggrieved employees for all work performed. Defendants also failed to continue to fail to pay plaintiff class members that agreed employees for all compensable hours spent traveling to, from, and between their hotel, living quarters, and production set every day while employed by defendants. Unpaid time also includes spent working during the purported meal breaks that were consistently on duty and subject to interruption and delay at defendant's election. Plaintiff class members that agreed to employees regularly worked up to 20-hour shifts in excess of 8 or 12 hours per day. But defendants, as a matter of policy or practice, failed to pay applicable overtime or double compensation for all hours actually worked as required by Labor Code 204-510, 1194, 1194.2, and the Industrial Welfare Commission Wage Order 12/2001 or 2001. During the class period, defendants failed and continue to fail to compensate plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees at the legally required minimum wage rate for any and all work performed during defendant's production in violation of Labor Code 1194 and 1197. During the class period, defendants failed to continue to fail to pay plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees their owed compensation due at termination in a timely fashion as required by Labor Code 201 and 203, in part because defendants continue to fail to pay wages for all hours worked by plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees who are no longer employed by defendants, or because defendants failed and continue to fail to pay all compensation due and owing to plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees upon separation as required by Labor Code 201 and 202. Plaintiff further alleges that this failure to pay all compensation was willful due to defendants' unlawful practices of willfully misclassifying class members' employment status as independent contractors, even though defendants exercise substantial control over the manner, means, and timing of the work performed by class members and aggrieved employees. As a result of defendants' failure to pay wages for all work performed as discussed above, pursuant to Labor Code 203, plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are entitled to recover up to 30 days of wages for defendants' willful failure to comply with the statutory requirements of Labor Code 201, 202. Now, for those of you who may remember Bethany Frankel when she went to SAG-AFTRA to make a reality TV show union, because basically you are an at-will employee for all these networks. That was a huge story. Now, it didn't go anywhere, right? It did not go anywhere. But in the same token, that story is not far from my mind, right? So do this here. There we go. Yes, indeed. There. Let's see. During the class period, defendants knowingly intentionally failed and continue to fail to furnish plaintiff class members that agreed to employees with any wage statements accurately showing, among other things, total hours worked, total hour wages owed, applicable rates of pay as required by Labor Code 226. No wage statements were provided to class members and aggrieved employees to reflect their hours worked or total compensation due for all hours worked, as plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees were not paid all wages due for all minimum overtime and double time wages as discussed above. Defendants failed to set forth wage statements containing all gross wages in violation of Labor Code 226A1, the total hours worked in violation of Labor Code 226A2, and net wages of hours worked in violation of Labor Code 226A9. During the class period, defendants failed and continue to fail to maintain a policy or practice that provides plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees with all duty meal periods as required by California law. Plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees regularly worked in excess of 5 hours a day and at times in excess of 10 hours a day without being provided at least half hour meal periods in which they were relieved of all duties, as required by Labor Code 226.7512 and wage or 12-20-01-11. Plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees were required to work through or were interrupted during their off-duty meal breaks and further were regularly denied food, both on defense production set and in their hotel living quarters. Defendants failed and continue to fail to maintain a policy or practice that provides plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees with off-duty rest periods as required by California law. Plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees regularly worked in excess of 4 hours or a major fraction of thereof during workdays without being provided at least a 10-minute rest period in which they were not required to remain on call or perform work during the period as required by Labor Code 226.7512 and wage order 12-20-01-12. So what I will say about this is the fact that it seems like Netflix said, I'm calling Netflix and Kinetic Entertainment out, Delirium TV out, of this is the #1 show. So because it's the #1 show, we will move accordingly and do what we want to do when we want to do it, how we want to do it. Just keeping it a buck, right? However, you probably are wondering, well, Bray, like you said, all these are location-based, right? Here's the thing. Netflix works out of California. Kinetic content works out of California, right? So when you have that going on, that's why they're able to bring up the California laws. So far, it seems solid to me. Let's see here. During the class period, defendants maintained a policy and practice of requiring plaintiff class members that agreed employees to work on duty meal and rest periods, including requiring plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees to perform for the defense television production to remain on call and or to remain on premises during meal and rest periods. Defendants also failed and continue to fail to provide timely meal periods as required by law, including on occasions where class members work shifts with in excess of 10 hours between meals. Defendants also failed and continue to fail to provide a third or fourth rest periods were required by law, including occasions where class members worked in excess of 10 hours. During the class period, defendants did not maintain on-duty meal period agreements for class members and aggrieved employees, and the nature of class members and aggrieved employees' work does not meet the requirements permitting on-duty meals periods as follows. The type of non-scripted reality television performances by class members and aggrieved employees is not such that off-duty meal periods are not feasible. That's A. B. Other employees, such as the production's crew, were able to take off-duty meal periods while class members and aggrieved employees were regularly denied the same opportunity. C. The potential consequences to defendants of providing off-duty meal periods are negligible. D. Defendants can reasonably anticipate and minimize any performance issues preventing provision of off-duty meal periods by scheduling employees to perform in a schedule that will allow class members and aggrieved employees to take off-duty meal periods. And E. The production and performances by class members and aggrieved employees would not be delayed, disputed, or destroyed if class members and aggrieved employees will provide off-duty meals. During the class period, defendants did not pay plaintiff class members or aggrieved employees all the premium compensation mandated by Labor Code 226.7b for non-compliant and or missed meal rest periods. Defendants consistently failed and continue to fail to pay employees all wages owed and earned and owned and specified in Labor Code 204D and 210 twice each calendar month, including but not limited to minimum wages, overtime wages, double time wages, and premium pay for missed rest periods. Accordingly, defendants have continue to violate California Labor Code 204D and 210 by not paying all wages owed to plaintiff class members or aggrieved employees. Defendants continue to fail to maintain adequate records showing the total hours worked daily as a result of maintaining a practice of willfully misclassifying misclassify employees as independent contractors in order to pay plaintiff class members or aggrieved employees less than the true number of hours worked in violation of Labor Code 1174. Plaintiff alleges that these acts, which violate numerous provisions of the Labor Code and Industrial Welfare Commission Wage Order 12-2001, constitute unlawful, unfair business practices in violation of the Unfair Competition Law, Business and Professions Code 17200 ET Sec. During the class period, defendants also violate the Private Attorney General's Action Labor Code 2698 et sec by the predicate violations of law described above. Whew. So like I said, it's 37 pages here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here. So these are all the causes of action, right? So all these actions right here, right? So right here, plaintiff brings this action on behalf of himself and all other similarly situated who were engaged as purported defendants in defendants non-scripted content production as a action pursuant to Code of Civil Procedure 382 as to violations of Labor Code, Business and Professionals Code 17200 et sec, and Wage Order 12-2001 for unpaid overtime wages, unpaid minimum wages, meal and rest break penalties, wait time penalties, statutory penalties, restitution, declaratory and injunctive relief, attorneys' fees and costs, prejudgment interest, and other appropriate relief. The similarly situated employees are known to defendants and are rarely identifiable and locatable through defendants' own records. Okay. I don't know if Jonda is still here, but I'm going to go through these actions here. And then I want Jonda, if she is still here, to come up and give her take on this, because to me, it seems like this is ironclad, right? So first cause of action, right? Labor Code 204-510-1194 and Wage Order 12-2001 against all defendants on behalf of the plaintiff and the class. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference the foregoing allegations as fully forth here said in Labor Code 510 states that employee must be paid overtime equal to 1 and 1.5 times the employee's regular rate of pay for all hours worked in excess of 8 hours in one work day, any work in excess of 40 hours in any one work week, and the first 8 hours worked on the 7th day of work in any one work week. Labor Code 510 also states that any work in excess of 12 hours in one day shall be compensated at the rate of no less than twice the regular rate of pay for an employee. Wage Order 12-2001, which governs the profession of the plaintiff herein, states that employee must be paid overtime equal to 1 and 1.5 of the employee's regular rate of pay for all hours worked in excess of 8 hours in one workday. Any work in excess of 48 hours in any one work week. Hours worked is defined as the time during which an employee is subject to the control of an employer and includes all the time the employee is suffered and permitted to work, whether or not required to do so. Wage Order 12-2001 2K. Plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are entitled to bring a civil action to recover on claims involving failure to pay overtime pursuant to Labor Code 1194. Plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees worked more than 40 hours per week or 8 hours per day were not paid overtime for wages for such work. Defendants have failed and refused to pay overtime compensation to plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees pursuant to Labor Code 1194. Plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are entitled to recover unpaid overtime compensation and interest thereon pursuant to Labor Code 2018.6 plus attorney's fees and costs pursuant to Labor Code 2018.5 an amount to be established according to proof at trial. Plaintiff, on behalf of himself and the class members and aggrieved employees, also requests relief described below. Second cause of action, failed to pay minimum wages, Labor Code 204, 1194, 1197, 1197.1, and Wage Order 12-2001 against all defendants on behalf of plaintiff and the class. Good Lord Jesus. Good Lord Jesus. I'm actually surprised I'm actually getting through this. For real, for real. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference the foregoing allocations as though fully set forth herein as apparent and practice. Defendants failed. Refused to pay plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees minimum wages owed to them pursuant to wage order 12-2001 for inter alia, requiring or permitting plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees to perform off-the-clock work for which plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees were not compensated as a result of defendants' violations of Labor Code 1194 and 1197 and wage order 12-2001 for failure to pay minimum wage. Plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are entitled to recover unpaid minimum wage compensation interest thereon pursuant to Labor Code 2018.6 plus attorney's fees and costs pursuant to Labor Code 2018.5 and an amount to be established according to proof at trial. Plaintiff, on behalf of himself and the class members and aggrieved employees, also requests relief as described below. There it is. Third cause of action, liquidated damages for failure to pay minimum wages, Labor Code 1194.2. Against all defendants on behalf of plaintiff and the class, plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference the foregoing allegations as though fully set forth here and pursuant to Labor Code 1194.2. Any action under Section 1194 to recover wages as a result of payment less than the minimum wage fixed by order of the commissioner or by statute employee shall be entitled to recover liquidated damages in an amount equal to the wages unlawfully unpaid and interest thereon. Plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees were not paid at the least the minimum wage for all hours worked as required by Labor Code wage order 12-2014. Plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are entitled to recover liquidated damages in an amount equal to the minimum wages unlawfully unpaid and interest thereon, plus attorney's fees, costs, and an amount to be established according to proof at trial. Plaintiff, on behalf of himself, the class members, and aggrieved employees, also request relief described as described below. So we're almost there, y'all. I think there's like 9 actions here. Yep, 9 actions. Good Lord, that 9th action is long, but we're gonna get there though. We're gonna get there though. I think I am on the 3rd cause of action. So now 4th cause of action: failure to provide accurate and itemized wage statements. Labor Code 226 of wage order 12-2001 against all defendants on behalf of plaintiff and the class. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference the foregoing allegations as though fully set forth here. And Labor Code 226 requires an employee to furnish its employees with an accurate itemized statement in writing showing, among other things, gross wages earned, total hours worked by each respective individuals, all reductions, net wages earned, and or number 5, all applicable hourly rates in effect during each respective pay period and the corresponding number of hours worked at each hourly rate. As apparent in practice in violation of Labor Code 226. A, defendants did not furnish plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees with accurate itemized statements in writing showing the total hours worked by each individual, the applicable rates of pay for each hour worked, or total compensation owed to each individual. As a pattern in practice in violation of Labor Code 226, defendants did not maintain accurate records pertaining to total hours worked for such defendants by plaintiff class members or aggrieved employees, including the total hours worked by each individual, the applicable rates of pay for each hour worked, and the total compensation owed to each individual. Defendants have knowingly, intentionally failed and continue to fail to comply with Labor Code 226A. Pursuant to Labor Code 226, plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are entitled to the penalties as follows: $50 per employee for the initial pay period in which a violation occurs, B, $100 per employee for each violation in a sequential pay period, not to exceed $4,000 per employee. Pursuant to Labor Code 226, plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are entitled to award of costs and reasonable attorney's fees. Plaintiff, on behalf of himself, the class members and aggrieved employees, as also also requested relief as described below. The fifth cause of action, failure to provide meal breaks in violation of Wage Order 12-2001-23 and Labor Code 226.7512 against all defendants on behalf of plaintiff and the class. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference the foregoing allegations as though set forth herein pursuant to California Labor Code 512 and Wage Order 12-2001. No employer shall employ any person for a work period more than 5 hours without a bill period of not less than 30 minutes. California Labor Code 226.7 provides that employer shall not require employee to work during a meal or rest period mandated pursuant to applicable statute or order of the Industrial Welfare Commission. Wage Order 12-2001-11 and Labor Code 226.7 both mandate that employers shall pay the employee 1 additional hour pay at the employee's regular rate of compensation for each workday that the meal period is not provided. Defendants did not provide plaintiff class members or aggrieved employees with required required meal period on a number of workdays. Furthermore, defendants continue to fail to compensate plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees 1 hour of pay for each workday that a meal period was not provided. As a result of defendant's conduct, plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees have sustained economic damages, including but not limited to unpaid wages, loss of interest, and amount to be established at trial. And plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are entitled to recover economic and statutory damages and penalties and other appropriate relief from defendants' violations of California Labor Code and IWC Wage Order 12-2001. The sixth cause of action, failure to provide rest breaks in violation of Wage Order 12-2001 and Labor Code 226.7 against all defendants on behalf of plaintiff and class. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference the foregoing allegations as though set forth herein. Labor Code 226.7 prohibits an employee from requiring an employee to work during any rest period mandated by applicable industrial wage or 102. Pursuant to Wage Order 12-2001, every employer shall authorize and permit all employees to take rest periods at rate of 10 minutes net rest time per 4 hours or major infraction thereof. If an employer fails to pay an employee with a rest period as required, the employer must pay 1 hour of pay at the employee's regular rate of compensation for each workday that rest period is not provided as required. Give me a moment here. There we go there. Yes, indeed. Back to this here. Yes, okay. Defendants failed and continue to fail to authorize or permit plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees to take a rest period on a number of workdays. Furthermore, defendants fail and continue to fail to compensate plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees 1 hour of pay for each workday that rest period was not provided. As a result of defendant's conduct, plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees have sustained economic damages, including but not limited to unpaid wages and loss of interest in an amount to be established at trial. And plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are entitled to recovery, economic and statutory damage and penalties under and other appropriate relief from defendants' violations of California Labor Code IWC Wage Order 12-2001. Yes, indeed. There. We're almost there, y'all. We're almost there. Let me see here. Refresh here. Yep, we are good. Thank y'all for the 2 lights. I appreciate each and every single one of you here. Seventh cause of action, failure to pay wages promptly after termination, Labor Code 201, 202, 203 against all defendants on behalf of plaintiff in the class. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference the foregoing allegations as fully set forth here in Labor Code 201 requires employers to pay on compensation due and owing to their employees immediately upon discharge. Labor Code 202 and requires employers to pay all compensation due and owing to an employee who quits his or her termination no later than 72 hours after the time of quitting. Labor Code 203 provides that if employer willfully fails to pay compensation promptly upon charge or discharge resignation as required by sections 201, 202, then the employer is liable for waiting time penalties in the form of continued compensation at the employer's regular rate of pay for each day that wages remain unpaid up to 30 days. Defendants fail to continue to fail to pay plaintiff class members of aggrieved employees who are no longer employees of defendants all wages due immediately upon termination as required by Labor Code 201 or within 72 hours as required by Labor Code 202. To date, defendants still have not paid plaintiff class members of aggrieved employees who are no longer employees of defendants. Defendants willfully fail to pay plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees who are no longer employees of defendants' wages pursuant to the requirements of Labor Code 201, 202. Therefore, plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees who are no longer employees of defendants are entitled to recover unpaid wages, waiting time penalties under Labor Code 203 plus attorney's fees and costs and amount be established according to proof at trial. Plaintiff, on behalf of himself and the class members and aggrieved employees, also requests relief as described below. Eighth cause of action, unfair business practices, business and professional code 17200 SEQ against all defendants on behalf of the class and on behalf of plaintiff individually as members of the general public. Yep, I felt that. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates by reference the foregoing allegations as though fully set here in Business and Professions Code 17200 prohibits unfair competition in the form of any unlawful, unfair, fraudulent business act or practice. Business and Professions Code 17204 allows any person who has suffered injury in fact and has lost money or property to prosecute a civil action for violation of the unfair competition law. Defendants have committed unlawful, unfair, and fraudulent business acts and practices as defined by Business and Professions Code 17200 ESQ by willfully misclassifying employees as independent contractors. Failing to pay wages for all hours worked, including minimum overtime wages, failing to provide compliant meal and rest breaks or pay meal and rest break premiums owed, and failing to pay wages due at the time of separation, requiring such employees to enter into purported contracts containing terms expressly prohibited by law under the disguise that such persons are independent contractors. The above described unlawful actions of defendants constitute false, unfair, fraudulent, and or deceptive business practices within the meaning of Business and Professions Code 17200 ESQ. Plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are entitled to equitable relief against such unlawful practices and or to prevent further damage for which there is no adequate remedy at law to avoid municipality of lawsuits. Plaintiff brings this cause of action individually on behalf of class members and aggrieved employees and as members of the general public as representatives of all others subject to defendants' unlawful acts and practices. As a result of their unlawful acts, defendants have reaped and continue to reap unfair benefits at the expense of plaintiff class members, aggrieved employees, and the general public. Defendants should be made to disgorge these ill-gotten gains and to restore plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees all wrongfully withheld wages and other amounts owed pursuant to Business and Professions Code 17200 at SEQ. Defendants are unjustly enriched as a result of their failure to comply with the provisions of the Labor Code IWC wage or 12-2001 as alleged here, and plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees are severely persecuted, severely prejudicated by defendants' unfair trade practices. As a direct and approximate result of the unfair business practices of defendants, plaintiff class members, and aggrieved employees are entitled to equitable relief, including full restitution, disgorgement, and or specific performance of payment of all wages and other amounts owed that have been unlawfully withheld from plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees as a result of the business acts and practices described herein. Ninth cause of action. This is the last cause of action. Private Attorneys General Act, Labor Code 2698 ETSEQ against all defendants on behalf of plaintiff and aggrieved employees. Plaintiff realleges each and every paragraph of this complaint as though fully set forth herein. Plaintiff is an aggrieved employee under PAGA, as he was employed by defendants during the applicable statutory period and suffered one or more of the labor code violations herein. As such, he seeks to recover on behalf of himself and all other aggrieved employees of defendants the civil penalties provided by PAGA plus reasonable attorney's fees and costs. Plaintiff seeks to recover the PAGA civil penalties through a representative action permitted by PAGA in the California Supreme Court in Aris versus Superior Court 2009, 46 Cal 4th 969. Plaintiff seeks to pursue remedies pursuant to PAGA for the following violations. Under California Labor Code 226.8A, it is unlawful for any person or employer to engage in any of the following activities. Number one, willful misclassification of an individual as an independent contractor, where willful misclassification is defined as avoiding employee status for an individual by voluntarily and knowingly misclassifying that individual as an independent contractor. California Labor Code 226.8I4, defendants had knowledge of the underlying facts, making plaintiff and class members employees, and specifically impose a level of control over how class members perform their work, so as to have knowledge that they were employees. Defendants are sophisticated corporations employing numerous people doing business in California and were aware of the employment requirement of properly classifying workers as employees were where they suffer and permit individuals to work in their primary business exert control of the manner and method by which that work is performed. Defendants chose to misclassify employee class members as independent contractors voluntarily to avoid paying required employee wages and avoid assuming employer liabilities. B, Labor Code 226.8 imposes civil penalty in addition to any other penalty provided by law for willful misclassification of an individual as an independent contractor, for which the person or employer shall be subjected to a civil penalty of not less than $10,000 and not more than $25,000 for each violation where such represents a pattern and practice of such violations. C, Labor Code 226.3 poses a civil penalty in addition to any other penalty provided by law of $250 per aggrieved employee for the first violation and $1,000 per aggrieved employee for each sequential violation of Labor Code 226A. Defendants failed to provide aggrieved employees, including plaintiff, with any pay stubs, much less ones that include the accurate information regarding the non-identified requirements under Labor Code 226A. D, pursuant to Labor Code 203, for an employer who willfully fails to pay any wages of an employee who is discharged or quits, that employee's wages shall continue as a penalty from the due date at the same rate until paid, but shall not continue for more than 30 days. Labor Code 256 imposes a civil penalty in an amount not exceeding 30 days pay as waiting time under the terms of Labor Code 203. Defendant failed to pay minimum wages and meal and rest break premiums, and so failed to pay plaintiff and other aggrieved employees for all wages pursuant to code related to their respective separation of employment. Under California Labor Code 510 and 1194, defendants are liable for failing to pay the aggrieved employees overtime. Defendants failed to pay plaintiff and aggrieved employees at 1.5 times the regular rate of pay for all hours worked over 8 hours worked per day. F, under California Labor Code 226.7512, defendants are liable for failing to pay either provide rest periods and meal periods or pay the aggrieved employees 1 hour pay for every missed rest period and meal period. Defendants require plaintiff and other aggrieved employees to be on duty during their purported rest and meal periods, and their meal periods were scheduled long after such individuals have worked over 5 hours. G, under California Labor Code 1194, 1197, and 1197.1, defendants are liable for failing to pay aggrieved employees minimum wage for all hours worked. Defendants pay plaintiff and aggravated employees a flat fee for performing work during and after production, but such amount was woefully inadequate to meet even minimum wage for rates for the hours actually worked by plaintiff and other aggrieved employees. H, 432.7, 432.8 imposes a civil penalty of $200 for defendants' unlawful requirement that applicants for employment disclose information concerning an arrest or detention that did not result in a conviction, or concerning a conviction that has been judiciously dismissed. Under California Labor Code 232, defendants are liable for unlawfully seeking information or prior convictions from aggrieved employees as applicants for employment. Paragraph 9 of the purported agreement between defendants and aggravated employees. Defendants require the aggrieved employees to participate in a background check, psychological evaluations, and testing and medical assessment, which unlawfully sought disclosure of any form of felonies or productive orders entered against aggrieved employees. I, Labor Code 3700 and 3708 imposes a civil penalty up to double the amount of premium as determined by the court that would otherwise have been due to secure the payment of compensation at the time it was due, but not less than $10,000. Defendants unlawfully require aggrieved employees to assume any and all risk related to conduct which was typical for the type of production. Paragraph 29 of the purported agreement, defendants require aggrieved employees to waive defendants' liability for any risk associated with intimate conduct usual for participants of production, including pregnancy, STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, and any other communicable diseases. Such conduct is typical and expected for a type of production. Defendants were excluded the possibility of workers' compensation for aggrieved employees in violation of Labor Code 3700 and 3708. J, under California Labor Code 1024.5, defendants are liable for using consumer credit reports for employment purposes for a position not listed in the section as an exception. Defendants unlawfully require aggravated employees to authorize defendants to conduct background checks, including a check of their consumer credit report, violating Labor Code 1024.5. None of the exceptions in the statute apply to aggrieved employees, and thus a credit report is unlawful in this situation. K, violations of California Labor Code 432.5 that requires no employer shall require any employee or applicant for employment to agree in writing to any term or condition which is known by such employer to be prohibited by law. Defendants only require plaintiff and aggrieved employees to sign a report contract containing several unlawful provisions. Class members of aggrieved employees were required at the time of application and employment to purportedly agree to provisions outlawed under the Labor Code as set forth above in sections H through L above. In addition to the unlawful provisions detailed above, the defendant's report agreement also required the class members and aggrieved employees to purportedly agree to unlawful provisions. In violation of Government Code 12940, defendants unlawfully require medical examination of applicants for employment and make inquiries about applicants' possible mental or physical disabilities as to plaintiff or other aggrieved employees. In paragraph 9 of the purported agreement, defendants require aggrieved employees to unlawfully submit to medical examination, psychological examination, background check, in violation of Government Code 12940E, where no job or production-related functions exist which would warrant the type of invasive medical exams which defendants as aggrieved employees to submit to. In violation of Civil Code 1671, defendants unlawfully required an agreement to unreasonable estimate of liquidated damages that did not realistically reflect damages occurred as retaliation for employees' breach of contract. In paragraph 21 of the purported agreement, defendants included a liquidated damages clause which required an excessive amount of damages to be paid if CAS left production or otherwise breached contracts with defendants' estimate of damages did not account for how long aggrieved employees have participated in production. The estimate did not realistically reflect damages incurred by defendants if aggrieved employees were to leave production, because this production was one which participants regularly withdrew from competition. I. In violation of Government Code 129645A1AI, defendants unlawfully require class members of aggrieved employees to waive their rights and remedies under the Fair Employment Housing Act, FEHA. In Section 29 of the purported agreement, aggrieved employees are required to assume the risk of activities in connection with production, including contracting sexual transmitted diseases, include hepatitis, HIV, pregnancy, serious personal injury, and non-consensual physical contact. That same clause require aggrieved employees to consent to such conduct and agree that such risks are waived by signing of the document. Defendants have lawfully compelled aggrieved employees to waive any rights which fall under FEHA, indirect violation of Government Code 1294.5 A1AI and VI, violation of Santa Barbara versus Superior Court, Cali, 2007, 41 Cali, 747-751. Damn it! Defendants unlawfully require class members and aggrieved employees to release defendants of liability for defendants' future gross negligence. Section 19 of the purported agreement, defendants require aggrieved employees to agree to release their rights to pursue any all legal claims that they may have against defendants and release defendants from liabilities for such claims, violating Santa Barbara versus Superior Court, Cali, 2007, 41 Cali 747-751. Whoo, child. Let me tell you something. One thing I do is I give y'all a damn show. Under California Labor Code 64006402, defendants are liable for failing to provide a safe and helpful place of employment. Defendants fail to provide a safe, healthy working environment, including encouraging plaintiffs and aggrieved employees to work in a highly hazardous work environment on set with electrical, video, construction equipment present, while defendants do and encourage aggrieved employees to be in and lowered and altered state of awareness brought on by increasing sleep deprivation, isolation, hunger, ubiquitous alcohol, so primarily available beverage. Labor Code 2010 imposes civil penalties for failure to pay all wages earned twice each calendar month in violation of Labor Code 204 of $100 for each initial failure to pay each employee, and for each subsequent or any willful or intentional failure to pay each employee $200, plus 25% of the amount unlawfully withheld under California Labor Code 204. Defendants are liable for failing to pay aggrieved employee wages earned during the course of the employment in a timely manner. California Labor Code 204 states all wages earned by any person in any employment are due payable twice during each calendar month on days designated in advance by the employer as the regular pay days during the relevant period. Defendants fail to compensate aggrieved employees. All wages earned twice during each calendar month and during the relevant period. Defendants fail to properly compensate aggrieved employees for hours worked in excess of 8 in a day or 40 in a week, as well as any missed meal or rest period. California Labor Code 558 imposes a civil penalty upon any employer or other person acting on behalf of the employer who violates or causes to be violated a section of this chapter, or any provision regulating hours and days for work of any or of the Industrial Welfare Commission as follows. 1, for any initial violation, $50 for each underpaid employee for each pay period for which the employee was underpaid, addition to an amount sufficient to recover unpaid wages. 2, for each subsequent violation, $100 for each underpaid employee for each pay period for which the employee was underpaid, addition to an amount insufficient to recover unpaid wages. 3, wages pursuant to this section shall be paid to the affected employee. During the relevant period, defendants have failed to keep payroll records showing total hours worked and wages paid to employees under California Labor Code 1174D. Employers must keep payroll records to show the hours worked daily by and wages paid to employees. To the extent that this failure keeps accurate payroll records was willful and they are liable for some penalties under California Labor Code 1174.5. Labor Code 2690 at SEQ imposes civil penalty of $100 per pay period per aggrieved employee for an initial violation of Labor Code 204, 226.7, 510, 512, 1174, 1194, $200 for each aggrieved employee during pay period for each sequential violation. Under Civil Code 1671, defendants are liable for requiring an unreasonable estimate of liquidated damages that do not realistically reflect damages occurred as retaliation of employees' breach of contract. Defendants include a liquidated damages clause, which requires excessive amount of damages to be paid if cast in production or otherwise breach their contracts with defendants. Plaintiff has fully complied with the procedural requirements specified in Labor Code 2699.3. As to each of the alleged allegations, on April 22nd, 2022, plaintiff provided notice to the California Labor and Workforce Development Agency, LWDA, of plaintiff's claims based on the alleged labor code violations committed by defendants, including the facts and theories supporting these claims. The LWDA provide no notice to plaintiff within 65 calendar days of the postmark date of that notice regarding its intentions to investigate or not investigate plaintiff's claims. A true, correct copy of this notice is attached here to as Exhibit 8. Accordingly, plaintiff may therefore commence this action to seek civil penalties pursuant to Labor Code 2698, enforcement of statutory provisions to protect workers and to ensure proper and prompt wages is a fundamental public interest. Plaintiff's successful enforcement of important rights affecting the public interest will confer a significant benefit upon the general public. Private enforcement of these rights is necessary as no public agency has pursued enforcement. Plaintiff is incurring financial burden in pursuing this action. It will be against the pursuit of justice and require the payment of attorney's fees and costs from any recovery obtained pursuant in California Code 2699. Plaintiff, on behalf of himself and the agreed employees, also requests relief as described below. Child, here's the prayer for relief. All of that. Okay. We're almost there. I'm going to just drop the link for Jonda if she's still here. I don't know if she is, but I will drop the link here because I definitely want to hear what she has to say. Let's see here. All right, there you go, Jonda. The link is there if you're still here. Or if not, I understand because this was a long one. Right here, as you can see, certification plaintiff claims as a class action pursuant to Code Civil Prop 382 on behalf of proposed class certification of each of classes specified herein for class notice to all class members that agreed employees who work for defense in the state of California for 4 years prior to the filing of this complaint through the date of trial in this action, that the court declared that defense policy and or practice of failing to pay wages to plaintiff class members agreed employees for all hours worked violates Labor Code 204, 510, 558, 1194, 1197, that the court declared that defense policy and or practice of failing to provide uninterrupted meals violates Labor Code 226.7, 512, and Wage Order 12-2001 by failing to provide plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees a meal period of at least 1/2 hour in which they were relieved of all duties for every 5 hours of work. that the court declare that the defendant's policy and or practice of failing to provide uninterrupted periods violates Labor Code 226.7, 512, 558, and wage order 12-2001 by failing to provide plaintiff class members agreed employees a rest period of at least 10 minutes for every 4 hours of work or major infraction thereof. The court declares as to the class members that are former employees of defendants have violated Labor Code 2001-2003 by willfully failing to pay compensation due at the time of termination of employment or within 72 hours after. That the court declared that the defendant's policy and or practice failing to furnish accurate itemized wage statement violates Labor Code 226. That the court declared the plaintiff and class members were willfully misclassified as independent contractors in violation of Labor Code 226.8 and awarded the associated penalties for each violation as to each class member. That the court declared the defendants above mentioned policies or practices violate Business and Professional Code 17200 at SEQ as to plaintiff class members and aggrieved employees for and or permanently enjoin defendants from engaging in practices alleged herein. K, for award of all wages owed by defendants to plaintiff class members agreed employees, including regular wages, minimum wages, liquidated damages, or unpaid wages, or overtime wages for an award to plaintiff class members agreed employees of 1 hour additional pay at the regular rate of compensation for each required meal period that was not provided pursuant to Labor Code 226.7, wage order 2012-2001 for award to plaintiff class members or aggrieved employees of 1 hour additional pay at the regular rate of compensation for each work day that rest periods were not provided pursuant to Labor Code 226.7 and wage order 12-2001 for award of penalties to plaintiff class members and agreed employees for defendants failure to provide accurate itemized wage statements pursuant to Labor Code 226, for an award of weighing time penalties due to plaintiff class members and agreed employees that are former employees of defendants pursuant to Labor Code 203, for order that defendants make restitution to plaintiff class members and agreed employees for defendants' unlawful business practices as described here in pursuant to Business and Professions Code 17200 ETSEQ, for an award pursuant to Labor Code 218.6510 or 1194 and any other applicable law. Civil penalties pursuant to Labor Code 2698 ETSEQ for violation of Labor Code sections 201, 202, 203, 204, 210, 226, 226.3, 226.7, 226.8, 232, 4325, 4327, 432.8, 510, 512, 558, 1024, 5, 1174, 1174.5, 1194, 1194.2, 1197, 1197.1, 2698, 3700, 3708, 6400, 6402, ETSEQ, Government Sections 1294, Civil Code Section 1671, IWC, wage order number 12-2001, for an award of attorney's fees and costs pursuant to the Code of Civil Procedure 1021.5, Labor Code 218.5, 226, 1194, Labor Code 2698, ETSQ, and any other applicable law, and for such and further relief as the court deems just and proper. Additionally, plaintiff hereby demands trial of this matter by jury. The amount demanded exceeds $35,000. Dated September 15th, damn it. Respectfully submitted by Tamara Westbrook for law firm 201 Santa Monica Boulevard, Suite 300, Santa Monica, California, 9401. Damn it. There's the email and phone number. Damn it. That's it. That's the whole damn lawsuit. Child, I'm going to turn on my camera now because we done the whole show for over a damn hour. Hell, don't make no damn sense. We got through all that in 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 55 seconds. Jesus. Don't y'all ever say that y'all don't get a damn show. Ever. Okay. Child, that was a lot. That was quite a lot. I will just say this. I truly think that there is something here. From what it sounded like, they did not get paid within the terms and conditions of California pursuant of the California Law Code. In addition to not being paid for that, they did not get treated right at all, you know what I mean? But in the same token, I truly believe that there is something sweet in the Kool-Aid here. I truly, truly do. As many lawsuits as Love is Blind has gotten, there's got to be something here. There's got to be something here, right? And it is quite sad that as much as this show has done, it's still on Netflix. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy to me. It's just crazy to me. It's just crazy to me. So yes, indeed. So it's a lot going on here, but I wanted to come on, give y'all this. Y'all, I am legitimately tired. That was 37 pages. 37 pages. 37 pages. Okay. So yeah. It looks like Jonda is not here. By the way, shout out to just Jonda for coming through. Yes, indeed. There, shout out to her. And also on Brit's block as well. Who's Messy? LOL. That's my favorite show. And Linnell Stiller as well. Thank you all so much. With that being said, let me get y'all the daily motivator up here, and then we will head on out because y'all, I am legitimately tired. Legitimately tired. Here we go, y'all. We have it in our power to begin the world again. Thomas Paine. Yes, indeed. It's time for the day motivator for Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Genuine humility. Humility is not an exercise in demoting yourself. It's a necessary precursor to excellence in every area of endeavor. If you think of your viewpoint as perfect, you cut yourself off from any meaningful improvement. When you assume you know it all, you render yourself unable to learn. Even the most meager acknowledgement of reality, when sincere, is a humbling experience. If you wish to successfully navigate the vastness and complexity of your existence, humility is essential, not optional. It's also liberating. Humility frees you to bestow time, attention, great effort on meaningful achievement and experience for all. When you choose not to be imprisoned by self-importance, there's so much you can learn. There's so much more you can learn, do, and be. Humility removes layer upon layer of constraints, bringing strong connections and improved effectiveness. Value yourself, respect yourself, and highly of yourself, but don't let your opinion of yourself block out all else. Genuine humility is always called for. It's always the best choice for everyone involved. Ralph Molson. So, you know, when it comes to this show, right, whenever we do a deep dive like this, the first thing I always say, I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know. Because when you're dealing with a topic of this magnitude, you are definitely getting into dangerous territory, right? You have to toe the line of the facts being the facts. You can give your opinion here and there, but you have to be about what the assignment is, right? So genuine humility is not recognizing that your opinion doesn't matter, but that there's a responsibility to what you do. The second thing I'll say is when you choose not to be imprisoned by self-importance, there's so much more you can learn. When you recognize the assignment is bigger than you, you will always be able to complete assignments, right? And finally, the third thing is value yourself, respect yourself, think highly of yourself, but don't let your opinion of yourself block out all else. When you respect yourself, you're able to respect the world. So that's the third thing I have to say. But that being said, it's time for the best outro on YouTube. Know what you're doing, do what you know. Never say you weren't born special, because you were always one, a blessing and trust. You may not be where you want to be, but by the end of it, you'll be where you need to be. Do what you've been chosen to do. Wise one that call yourself is nothing but chosen. One love, much love, all love. I is for time with you. You is for time with me. And hopefully by spending time together, we're awesome, great together. And always remember, we're doing radio, television, YouTube, living your best life, or You're just reading a lawsuit about one of the biggest shows coming to streaming ever. Make sure the replay is not just for you. Watch it, not just for you. Let's do it. But if you want to experience it again, I love you. I value, I embrace you all. Always remember, see, love you, God, give it. See, love you, God, give it. See, love you, God, give it. Whatever obstacles you've overcome, whatever success you have achieved upon this particular day, I'm extremely proud of you, but no one's as proud of you. Be proud of your damn self. And finally, y'all, listen, Love is Blind is coming, right? Season 10 is going to be on the way. Something's going to click eventually, because you cannot have these many lawsuits and something not go down. By the way, this is your last tour for the evening. Good night to you, but also to right here, Nintendo's Let's Go Water Park and Nintendo Cade Family Fun Arcade. If you want to know more about these and how Nintendo could be doing this, come back here in 40 minutes and 58 seconds at 8:30 for this. One love, much love, all love. I feel love is sending right back to you right here. Come back for this tonight right here. Right here. I made these two logos through Gemini. And let me tell you something, that is off of Nintendo New York's logo there. So if you want to know about the future of Nintendo with Nintendo's Let's Go Water Park and Nintendo Cade, please be back here in 40 minutes and 32 seconds. Like I said, one love, much love, all love. I feel the love and send it right back to you. See you guys tonight here at 8:30. But if this is your last tour for the evening, your last live stream, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you based on your location. One love, much love, all love. I feel love and send it right back to you. Good night, everybody.
I thought I should tell you, they've been talking about you. Yeah, they've been talking about you. They've been talking about the fact that they've done everything they could to stop you and everything they could to block you, but you still win. They've been talking about the fact that they have undermined your success and they have tried to sabotage your seasons, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that even though they don't like each other, they get together to try to kill you, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that you were voted least likely to succeed, but like cream, you keep rising to the top. They've been talking about how they tried to burn your world down, but like the phoenix, you rose from the ashes. They've been talking about you, and you know what they say? Oh, she's just lucky. He's just lucky. But no, you ain't lucky. You're anointed. You got something on you. You got favor on you. You got power on you. You were born to win. Now they can call it luck, but it's grace. They can call it luck, but it's favor. But whatever they call it, it doesn't matter, because you know what God calls you? Do you know what God calls you? A winner. I thought I should tell you, they've been talking about you. Yeah, they've been talking about you. They've been talking about the fact that they've done everything they could to stop you and everything they could to block you, but you still win. They've been talking about the fact that they have undermined your success and they have tried to sabotage your seasons, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that even though they don't like each other, they get together to try to kill you, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that you were voted least likely to succeed, but like cream, you keep rising to the top. They've been talking about how they tried to burn your world down, but like the phoenix, you rose from the ashes. They've been talking about you, and you know what they say? Oh, she's just lucky. He's just lucky. But no, you ain't lucky. You're anointed. You got something on you. You got favor on you. You got power on you. You were born to win. Now they can call it luck, but it's grace. They can call it luck, but it's favor. But whatever they call it, it doesn't matter, because you know what God calls you? Do you know what God calls you? A winner. I thought I should tell you, they've been talking about you. Yeah, they've been talking about you. They've been talking about the fact that they've done everything they could to stop you and everything they could to block you, but you still win. They've been talking about the fact that They have undermined your success, and they have tried to sabotage your seasons. But you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that even though they don't like each other, they get together to try to kill you, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that you were voted least likely to succeed, but like cream, you keep rising to the top. They've been talking about how they tried to burn your world down, but like the phoenix, you rose from the ashes. They've been talking about you. And you know what they say? Oh, she's just lucky. He's just lucky. But no, you ain't lucky. You're anointed. You got something on you. You got favor on you. You got power on you. You were born to win. Now they can call it luck, but it's grace. They can call it luck, but it's favor. But whatever they call it, it doesn't matter, because you know what God calls you? Do you know what God calls you? A winner.
Good evening. My name is Mark Woodbury. I'm the chairman and CEO of Universal Destinations and Experiences. Well, we're finally here. Tomorrow we begin a new chapter at Universal Orlando Resort as we open Epic Universe. We built this place for you. I want to thank you, our fans, for your love of our stories, characters, and immersive experiences that inspired this incredible place. Epic Universe represents over 8 years of meticulous planning, immense creativity, and innovation, combined with unmatched craftsmanship and operational excellence on the part of thousands of people who have brought to life the stories and characters that live beyond each of Epic's portals. But it represents so much more. Your love of Universal and the deep connections we've shared together here in Orlando over the past 30 years inspired us to dream bigger and to push the boundaries to create something extraordinary for you and for generations of fans and families to come. And tomorrow, as we open Epic Universe, I can't wait for you to experience this place for yourself. Now it's your turn to step inside, to lose yourself, and to share this place with the ones you love most. As we open this park, we hope your world becomes a little more epic. Tomorrow, Epic Universe becomes yours.
Are video games getting too expensive? This episode, we want to find some common ground because the CEOs want to raise the price even more.
Not with these broken-ass games.
$5 million. That's how much San Andreas costs to make.
Is it their fault for selling or our fault for buying?
Corporations claim all this stuff. Devs say otherwise.
Sports gamers, cozy gamers, whatever you call the people who play Power Wash Simulator.
I think it stings a little bit more because I'm spending my actual money and my mom is not. Imagine they get rid of all movie theaters and then charge you the same price to watch the same movie at home.
That's like every streaming service. It doesn't have to be the longest of games, but am I having fun with it? This is Lex. I'm Ronell. Let's get right into it.
Prepare for a journey beyond imagination, beyond belief, beyond anything you've experienced before. Universal Epic Universe, a new theme park where you'll step through extraordinary portals to 5 immersive worlds. Prepare for a cosmic voyage of discovery, an isle of fire-breathing excitement, a shadowy world of monsters and mystery, new wonders in the wizarding world, and a new way to play. Plus the splendor of a magnificent resort hotel overlooking the park. It's all new excitement at Universal Orlando Resort. A week's worth of vacation thrills with 4 amazing theme parks, a variety of spectacular themed hotels, and incredible dining and entertainment. It's all at Universal Orlando Resort, where you'll find new adventures every day. Explore the astonishing worlds of Universal Epic Universe at Universal Orlando Resort.
Because here's the thing, a good streamer can find other content. Because here's the thing, a good streamer can find other content. Because here's the thing, a good streamer can find other content.
Child, Braylon been over there doing his thing, minding his GD business, staying out of trouble, trying to get the folks some positive stuff to talk about. Besides lying all the damn time. Child, Braylon been over there doing his thing, minding his GD business, staying out of trouble, trying to get the folks some positive stuff to talk about. Besides lying all the damn time. Child, Braylon been over there doing his thing, minding his GD business, staying out of trouble, trying to get the folks some positive stuff to talk about. Besides lying all the damn time.